Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lizzie. I live here in a small town, Vermont. I'm a mom of 3 and a pastor's wife. I have a 2,000 square foot garden. I have 15 chickens over there. I have bread to bake in my home, and I enjoy sharing that content with you here on YouTube. And today, well, for the next several days, we're going to be working on hilling up a few rows in my garden and planting out a few spring flowers. We're going to put some calendula in the ground, and we're going to start some gladiolus bulbs in the ground as well. So the very beginning of May, the goal is to hill up my rows where I'm going to be planting my crops and then putting weed fabric, or it's also called weed mulch, on the top of that. I am using a black plastic that is 4 mil weight, and I am going to be using this drill to drill holes in it to put in either the seed, the plant, or the bulb, whatever it is. So right here where you can see the white hoops is where I already have snapdragons, bells of Ireland, lisianthus, and ranunculus that is growing. So I'm going to be working behind there that way to make the next row to put the calendula and the gladiolus in. On this side of the garden is all of my vegetables and some fruits. No, I don't have any fruits, but just vegetables on this side, and then everything back this way is all the cut flower area. So I'm working on the cut flower area right now, and then also working on the vegetable area, but we're going to focus on getting the gladiolus and the calendula in today.
I have to admit something to all of you that I'm a little bit embarrassed about, and that is, for several years since we have lived here and used this space as a garden, I have not worked on my soil health very much. And I am determined to really get it under control. The fact that there has been a bad weed pressure for so many years should be a sign to me that the soil has not been that great. And so this year I'm going to try to take some control of it. Where I am working right now in that flower bed section, that part has been tilled because it is pretty hard back there. And I kind of change that more than anything every year. But the part that is in front of it, to my left and your right, the vegetable part of the garden, we purchased 4 yards of compost that we are putting on top of all of the rows this year. So that I'm hoping will really help. 4 seasons ago, we had a friend come down and drive a tractor over this part of the yard to make it into a garden. It was exactly where there had been gardens in decades past, but it hadn't been there for a long time. And I wish back then I had spent $500 in compost and had this really nice, beautiful, thick layer and just kept up with it, but I didn't. So I've done a lot of research, and I basically would like to go to a no-till method and just add compost on top of all of the rows every year. So that is my goal for the vegetable garden this year. For the flower garden this year, I'm just going with the same thing that I've been doing. So I'm hilling up all of my different rows. My rows are 3 feet wide, and then the rows in between my walkways are 18 inches. So by August it does get a little bit tight, but we make do with it. This is a 4 mil plastic that I roll on the top of it. You see I have a ton of rocks on the sides of it. It can get pretty windy right where we are, and so if wind gets even a little bit underneath those rows, it will just flip the whole thing off. So definitely don't want that. And could definitely be putting the holes tighter together and even giving me more space to put things. But I have to be careful with the plastic, because if you put the holes too close together, then it will rip the plastic. But I definitely have the option to try to tighten things up a little bit when I want more snapdragons or whatever the case may be for another time.
So last thing I'm gonna do is plant some of these Gladiolus bulbs. I have 90 of them total, and I am going to try to succession plant them, which means that I am going to plant 15 of them for the next 6 weeks, so all the way through the middle of June. I have a pastel mix, and then I have a darker kind of mix that's got reds and oranges, deep purples, deep yellows, things like that. I'm kind of trying to decide how I want to do this, because I was thinking kind of half of this and half of this, but it might be nice to do these first, so we have a little bit more of the pastel mix towards the beginning part of the summer, and then we don't have the real dark colors until the end of the summer, like in August, September. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna take these pastel mixes and I'm gonna plant 15 of them today, and then next week, today is Friday, so next Friday I will plant 15 more, and so on and so forth, all the way until they're all done. They're pretty small. These are 10, 12 centimeter size, so they do only get one bloom per stalk. So I'm not really sure what to expect with like how tall they'll be and stuff, but we'll find out. This is my first time with Gladiolus, so I'm gonna give it a shot. Here in Vermont, Gladiolus can be dug up during the winter, but they do have to be dug up. They can't be overwintered, and stored and then planted again during the springtime. And they are very, very pretty for landscapes, especially very beautiful.
Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today or were inspired in some way. I hope you're growing a garden this year, or at least starting or trying. But until I see you the next time in the next video, keep growing. Bye.